So, when you hear the phrase envisioning tomorrow, what comes to your mind? Anyone? I think the common words that come to us is innovation, technology, or future of humanity. But for some communities, tomorrow is not an abstract idea. Tomorrow is personal. Tomorrow is personal for those communities who have been affected by climate change. For them, it is about whether the river still flows or not, whether they will be able to stay in the same place where their families have lived for generations. It's also about whether they'll be forcibly displaced from the place where they have born and lived for many years. So one of the major issues about climate change is this, that the communities or the countries who have impacted or who have created the least to climate change are the people who are impacted the most. And this also follows for future generations. Who are future generations? Future generations are those who are still not born. They are not born till now. So they cannot vote. They cannot go to the court or go to the parliament to demand accountability. They cannot ask or demand anything. Then I think who can speak for them? It's us. It's youths who have to speak for them, because they cannot speak for themselves right now. And every decision that we make today is going to impact future generations. A group of young people a few years ago thought about this. How future generations are impacted, how they have been impacted by climate change, and what they can do. So they researched international law. International law for us feels distant, because we think that international law is for diplomats, it is for powerful states, or it is for negotiators. But these group of people, they thought, what can be done? Because they are being impacted by climate change. What can they do for climate change? They asked a general question. The states who are responsible for climate change, if they refuse to act, what can be done? So then, history begins with people who are simply unwilling to accept silence. These group of people, they did not keep silence, and they wanted to do something about it. So the story which I am talking about begins in the Pacific. How many of you know where is Pacific? Do you know any Pacific countries? Any Pacific countries? Can you name some of them? Any? Nobody knows any Pacific countries? Okay. Yes. So Pacific is the area where Australia, New Zealand, all those countries are located. So there are many countries in Pacific: Tonga, Vanuatu, Australia, New Zealand, and many other countries. So this story began in the Pacific. 27 law students from the University of South Pacific, they thought what can be done about climate change as they have been impacted by it. These youths didn't want to make another social media post. They didn't want to create another awareness program or organize another awareness program, but they wanted something which has real accountability. So they researched international law, and they thought, let's take this issue to the International Court of Justice. the highest court of the world. How many of you have heard International Court of Justice? Okay, so the International Court of Justice is the highest court of the world. It is the primary judicial organ of the United Nations. It has major two functions. One, it settles disputes between states. And second, it clarifies international law by giving an advisory opinion. This institution, it feels very distant for some of us. But for these youths, they thought this institution should be used, and international law should be used not as a tool of power, but as a tool for justice. So they wrote letters. So how you approach International Court of Justice is, you as an International Court of Justice cannot give any decision just like that. A member state from UN has to bring a resolution in the United Nations General Assembly. So for that, these youths thought they cannot directly go to the court and say, okay, give clarification about climate change. What are the obligations of climate change? What are the obligations of states with regards to climate change? So what they did was they wrote letters to all the Pacific countries. They wrote letters to Australia, New Zealand, Tonga, Vanuatu, and many other countries from Pacific. And out of all those countries, one country responded positively. And that was Vanuatu. Vanuatu is a small country in the Pacific island, and they said to these youths that I am going to support you. How do you want me to support? And they supported these youths to take this issue to the United Nations General Assembly. Now this climate change for these Pacific countries, it's not an abstract or theoretical concept for them. Due to sea level rise, they have been impacted by climate change always. And for us in Nepal also, it's same. We have been facing climate change due to melting glaciers, due to floods, due to landslides. What shows is we have different geography. We have different communities, Pacific and Nepal, but the injustice is same. What is that injustice? The countries who have contributed the least are taking the heaviest burden of climate change. And due to this thing, youths across the world came together and they brought this issue forward. They took this issue forward. So after this, what we did is all the youths came together and we established an organization called World's Youth for Climate Justice. So World's Youth for Climate Justice was established, and it is right now based in Netherlands, The Hague, because that is the place where International Court of Justice is placed. So the World's Youth for Climate Justice was established, and what we did was, when Vanuatu took the UN resolution to the General Assembly, we had to convince all the UN member states to adopt that resolution. So it was not an easy task, because there were efforts before as well. Like few other countries from Pacific, Palau for example, took initiative to do this before as well, but they couldn't succeed. So this time, youths were supporting Vanuatu to pass the resolution from the UN General Assembly. So we, as youths, we went to government, requested them to support, and tell them that this is very important thing. So these are some of the work that we have done. We have different regional fronts who worked, and we have regional fronts in all the regions, and we convinced the governments to be part of this. And finally, the resolution which I was talking about was adopted from UN General Assembly. And it was adopted by consensus. Consensus means there was no vote against it. No vote, no country voted against it. And this was a huge thing, because this was the first time that any resolution was adopted with consensus requesting an advisory opinion from the International Court of Justice. So this was a huge thing for our work. So after this went to the court, now the International Court of Justice looks after this climate change issue. It invited all the UN member states to come to the court and said, you have to let us know what do you think about the obligations of states with regards to climate change. What the states have to do. You come and speak with us. And at that time, we felt one very important thing. If vulnerable communities were absent from the court, then the people most affected by climate change would once again remain unheard. So this is a very big thing, like going to the international court is not a small thing. And there were many countries who have not participated in ICJ process till now, including Nepal, to work a lot. And we also thought if vulnerable communities do not go to the court, then they will be excluded from this very important proceeding. And they will be excluded from developing international law. So what we did was we approached all the governments, especially the vulnerable countries, including Nepal. What we did in Nepal, for example, I, along with my friends, we were around 25 lawyers and law students who drafted the document that we wanted to Nepal government to submit to the court. So we drafted the whole text that we wanted government to submit. And finally, the Nepal government, after a lot of effort, at the beginning they were all, like confused. We approached Ministry of Environment, Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Ministry of Law, because they had never participated in ICJ process. They were confused even which ministry has to look after it. So it was kind of my regular business to go to the ministries and convince them every day and tell them, okay, why this is important, why Nepal has to participate in this process, because it is about climate change. We are a vulnerable country. This is very important that we participate in this process. And finally, Nepal participated in this process. It was a long effort, of course, but Nepal government was convinced with us. And the document which I was talking about, the written document, the same document was submitted by Nepal government through its embassy in the Brussels to the International Court of Justice. They submitted that same document. And the if you look at the International Court of Justice website, you can find the document that we have prepared has been submitted from Nepal government. So the youths drafted the document of Nepal government, and we put our voice there, how we have been impacted by climate change. And it's not only about Nepal. As I said, this is an organization working globally. Our friends from Mexico, they also submitted their inputs to the Mexico government. And Mexico government officially cited the inputs from our team. We did same for Sri Lanka. We approached Sri Lankan government and supported them. But one of the major things, you can see this is Nepal participating. So former foreign minister of Nepal, she herself represented Nepal and went to the International Court of Justice in The Hague, in Netherlands, and put our voice. She explained how Nepal has been impacted by climate change. And this was the time when we recently had Melamchi flood. So she also highlighted how Melamchi flood had impacted us. And one of the major things about this campaign is that we didn't work only behind the scene. We also stood before the court. So this is the International Court of Justice, and 4 youths from our movement stood before the court talking about future of humanity. So you can see 4 of our youth friends who stood before the court representing various countries and intergovernmental organizations to talk about the future of humanity and talk about climate change, how they have been impacted, and what should be done by the court. So finally, in July 2025, the International Court of Justice gave the decision. gave the decision. So you can see Al Jazeera, New York Times, Guardian, many other news covering this, how a landmark opinion was given by the International Court of Justice. And it said that states, especially the developed states, are responsible for climate change. It also talked about phase out of fossil fuels. It talks about how private entities should also be regulated within this framework. So International Court of Justice gave a landmark decision in July 2025. And this was a huge achievement. Because one of the major things about this campaign was, first, it was led by Vanuatu, a small country from Pacific, and it showed how international law or international process can be impacted by even small country like Vanuatu. So Nepal can also take such initiatives and take important initiatives in leadership in the international forum. Another thing was that this whole process was youth-led. So youths are not only the future of the world, but they are the present. So they are impacting the present. And they are also talking for the future generations. So future generations may not yet have voices in our institutions, but our generations can choose to speak for them. And perhaps that is what envisioning tomorrow truly means. Not waiting for the future to arrive, but having the courage to fight for it now. So whenever we do anything, remember about future generations. And why I'm focusing on future generations? Because the whole campaign we did, one of the major issues that we requested the court to address was about future generations. What will be the rights of future generations? So that's why think about future generations whenever you do anything. Thank you so much.